This is ABC15 Mornings.
All right, we say good morning to you on this Thursday, on this Friday Eve, this Valentine's Day Eve, and this eve of a holiday weekend.
Yeah, we got a lot going on. We're trying to come up with a great playlist. Maybe you're going to be going on a road trip. Get that up on our Facebook pages here. Maybe you'll add to it with us. But first, we want to get to your weather forecast with our meteorologist, Iris Hermosillo. It's been a busy week for you and some beautiful changes ahead.
Yeah, some really nice, tranquil weather heading our way and warmer conditions too after starting out with rain, storms, and a cool down that we certainly felt, especially on Tuesday. Temperatures have been trending back up the last few days. Now this morning we are again off to a cold start with temperatures in the 30s to 40s across the valley. Here are some of the temperatures I'm seeing. 45 in Mesa, Glendale, you're down to 40. It's 42 in Goodyear and Phoenix Sky Harbor, checking in right at 44 degrees. But even though you'll need a jacket this morning, this afternoon, probably won't be wearing it. It's going to be 4 degrees warmer than it was yesterday with a high of 68 degrees. Clear skies in the valley, clear skies across the state. And by tomorrow, we'll see some passing clouds, but temperatures will climb even further up to 71 degrees. Perfect for Valentine's Day. Dry weather into the weekend, too. We'll talk about how much higher those temperatures will climb as we start heading into President's Day. Chelsea, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Iris. It's a lot less busy than it was this time yesterday morning on our valley freeways, which is good news for all of you. If you're hitting the road right now, we're looking at green flows for the East Valley, US 60 clear, the 202, I-10 around the Broadway curve, the 101 all the way around to the west side. Looks pretty good. A couple spots where you'll see some slowing right now, eastbound between I-17 and the 51. If you're traveling on I-17 southbound approaching the stack, and then also before you get to the Durango curve, there was some slowing because we had an earlier crash at Van Buren Street, but that's cleared now. Otherwise, normal delays on I-10 heading eastbound into downtown Phoenix at the stack and the mini stack. We do have a crash on Loop 101 southbound at McDowell where the left lane was blocked and they were moving everything over off to the side. Brakes are back to about Thomas, so if you're planning to travel southbound on the 101, then get on I-10 over to the mini stack, it'll take you about 27 minutes, which is pretty normal for this time of day. So just factor in a little extra time. This is what you'll see if you do travel nearby. Our ADOT camera showing you all the activity off left now, and all the debris has been cleared off too, so you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Okay, Chelsea, thank you so much. So you already know the coronavirus is a public health emergency. What you might not know, and it comes from a doctor out of Hong Kong who is saying if this virus goes unchecked, it could infect 60% of the world's population.
Now, 14 Americans have been diagnosed, including one person in the ASU community. John Genovese is live there on campus. And John, there's concern over the spread of both the disease and also the spread of racism with this. So explain that to us.
Yeah, Nick, this is certainly not how people should be responding. Now, the last few weeks, ASU officials have been trying to stop the spread of what they call misinformation about the virus, but at least one Asian American student says she is now experiencing racism on campus. Take a look. This is part of an email that was sent out on Monday by ASU President Dr. Michael Crow. In it, he says, quote, "As a caring community, we want to diminish the impact of misinformation and reduce the anxiety, fear, and trepidation that accompany it. Uninformed and at times emotional reactions work against the values of community and at their worst can quickly become harmful," end quote. Now, ASU junior Aretha Deng talking with Good Morning America in an interview airing in just a few hours. She says she sat down at tables to then have other students get up and leave. She describes tense and uncomfortable interactions that have continued now for weeks.
I still get rude glances, or if I cough, people freak out. I try not to let that get to me because at the end of the day, I know that it's a lot of misconception. It's a lot of not willing to have those conversations and letting your assumptions and letting your ignorance be the main factor as to how you behave.
And again, we want to reiterate, there is only one confirmed case of coronavirus in the ASU community. And Kaylee, if you want to hear more of that interview, again, that's coming up at 7 a.m. on GMA.
And shining light on something that is dangerous, or at least can be. Thank you very much, John. We appreciate that. I want to talk about this because researchers at ASU are working to create a vaccine that would fight the coronavirus, hopefully ease some fears here eventually. One of their ideas involves using the smallpox vaccine as a delivery system, genetically modifying it in hopes of creating an immunity to the coronavirus. They're also using tobacco plant cells and mammal cells in their research, hoping that these outside of the box ideas can save lives.
It's really important to take multiple strategies when you're going after vaccine development because you don't know what will work.
And this illness is thought to be spread through close contact, especially through coughing and sneezing from an infected person.
Two minors, a boy and a girl, shot at a Chandler Park. Police say both of them are going to be okay. This was at San Marcos Park near Arizona Avenue in Pecos. Right now, police are still working to get more information on exactly what happened here. Due in court this morning, parents accused of hiding their adopted daughter's remains for years after her death. Rafael and Maribel Loera were arrested last month after officials were called to their home for a child abuse investigation. 3 of their other adopted children were taken into DCS custody. That's when police say Rafael set the home on fire to try to cover up their daughter's remains. The parents are charged with child abuse, endangerment, and concealing a body.
Well, you might have gotten the push alert yesterday around lunchtime. This wild chase crisscrossing the valley. The driver, wanted by marshals, finally taken into custody after several years, though. As we show you this bird's eye view here from Air 15, our Cliff Castle chopper. Officers now really want to make clear how dangerous the suspect was.
Subject's been known to have a machine gun in the past. Has also talked about the suicide by cops and will not go back to prison.
Well, a U.S. Marshals task force, they attempted to stop the Jeep on the 202 near 32nd Street. But this guy kept driving, getting on the 10, going from 43rd Avenue all the way out to Verrado Way. That's when DPS performed a pit maneuver to stop the SUV. The man, 51-year-old Scott Rasmussen, put in handcuffs. He's wanted in Utah for forgery and theft.
Happening today, the city will honor 3 public safety employees who lost their lives last year. We're going to show you them in a second. On the left, Phoenix police officer Paul Rutherford. He was hit by a car while responding to a crash last March. And firefighters Rick Tellez and Brian Beck Jr. died from cancer. The city will pay tribute to all 3 of them at a ceremony at the Orpheum Theater, and that begins at 9 this morning.
An internal audit by Mesa Public Schools revealing more than $400,000 in unapproved salary increases in contracts. That audit found pay for 10 members of former Superintendent Dr. Amber Conley's executive team did not get board approval, and that is a violation of state law. The school board ordering the audit last October after Conley was put on paid administrative leave. She later resigned.
This is money that is not going into our classrooms. This is not money that is reaching our students.
The audit also revealing a nearly 85% spike in executive team pay since 2015. The board says it's changed procedures for compensation approval and adjusted some executive team members' pay. The district expects to get about $70,000 from those adjustments.
6:07, the battle over tuition at our state universities will head to the Arizona Supreme Court. If the court rules in favor of Attorney General Mark Brnovich, he says he'll be allowed to sue the Board of Regents over rising tuition costs. Brnovich says tuition has skyrocketed over the years and taxpayers should know why.
I would argue that what they have done, the formula they are using is inconsistent with the Constitution.
We are trying to be transparent. We take public input. Happy to take the Attorney General's input so that we can move past this.
The Board of Regents blames the recession for the increases and says they've let the public know where all the funds are going. No date has been set for when the court will begin their arguments.
New for you this morning, 64 cars and SUVs earning the top safety pick awards from the Insurance Institute of Highway Safety, a highly coveted list here. The 2020 model year vehicles are performing well in crash tests and have headlights rated good or acceptable. They also have front crash prevention systems like automatic emergency braking that earned advanced or superior ratings in this one as they continue to take a closer look and spotting other vehicles and pedestrians. No minivans or trucks made that list.
An Apache Junction man reaching out to our Operation Safe Roads team. He's legally blind, so he has to walk everywhere. And his daily route includes a stretch of road without any sidewalk. Mike Dewager says that the blacktop is the same material as the street, and it makes it difficult for him to tell the difference. And there's a stretch that forces pedestrians to walk right next to cars.
And I called the city, they said, well, we can't really do it, and that's why I called you guys.
Well, our team reached out to the Apache Junction Public Works Department, who admits the area needs upgrades. The city is now looking at some fast, short-term solutions. Next on ABC 15 Mornings, waiting a year for a pair of shoes. We're getting answers for an Arizona man after he says he paid for shoes that took about a year to arrive. He's an amputee here, so he does have special needs. We'll get to the bottom of this one.
Plus, getting a second chance. Meet the Valley High School coach overcoming a felony conviction and what he wants you to learn from this.
Today, the Senate is expected to pass a war powers resolution. The bill would limit President Donald Trump's ability to take military action, and it does have bipartisan support. The measure is in response to the president's ordering of that drone strike that killed a top Iranian general last month.
E-cigarette maker Juul is facing a new lawsuit for buying teen-focused ad space. The Massachusetts Attorney General's office says in 2015, Juul advertised its vaping products on websites like Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and 17 magazine. The company says it's reviewing that complaint.
Let's talk about the roadways now with our accident log group traffic maps. We had a couple other crashes that popped up here and they're gone. So the only one that we're still dealing with is Loop 101 southbound. The crash is at McDowell. It's off left. You will still see some of the flashing lights and a couple cars off to the side. But overall, around 19 miles per hour is what you're going to run into from about Thomas to the 101. Then when you try to get onto I-10, you will see slowing, not only because 10 is just slow because of the higher volume of traffic at this time of day, but also because of that crash. So factor in the extra time. I looked at this desert drive time just a few minutes ago and it's actually improved since then. So if you're traveling southbound Thomas on the 101, then you connect on I-10 and you go through the stack over to the mini stack. It'll take you 25 minutes to do so. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how much time to factor in. I-17, you're looking at your normal brakes in that southbound direction. The 51 is showing mostly green flows. I-10 is going to see those brakes back through Avondale, almost all the way back to the 303. Loop 101 eastbound between I-17 and the 51 are normal brakes there. And East Valley, same story as well. Pretty quiet. We haven't seen too much activity going on here. Let's keep it that way. 10 minutes is the desert drive time on US 60 to go westbound from Bella Vista Drive over to Loop 101. But Iris, that is a gorgeous shot you're about to show us.
Yeah, you know, I just want to give a shout out to our awesome viewers for sending in their photos to share at ABC15.com. This was last night's sunset. Renee sending that one in. So I want to thank you again for sending in these awesome photos. We had those clouds move in yesterday. I told you they would, and they moved in just in time to give us that beautiful color in the sky last night. Now this morning, you're not going to see the clouds. Instead, we're waking up to clear skies both in the valley and across the state. But I still want to see your sunrise photos, even if we don't have any clouds out there. Still love seeing the weather from your perspective. Share at ABC15.com is the place to send those photos. We are waking up to dry conditions across the state. Our storm system that moved through earlier this week continues to push to the east, and know that this weather, snow, and even rain across the eastern U.S. could impact travel if you are flying out of town ahead of the holiday weekend. So just keep an eye out on those flights. Meanwhile, our temperatures are starting to change a little bit more. This morning, we're running just slightly milder than this time yesterday across northern Arizona. It's not a huge difference, but hey, 1 degree makes a difference when temperatures are in the teens in spots like Flagstaff. Not seeing as many or any of those single digits here this morning like we saw at this time yesterday up north, but we are waking up to 13 degrees in Flagstaff, 27 in Payson, it's 41 in Bullhead City, 34 in Globe. Casa Grande, you've dropped another degree. You're now to 36, and Phoenix Sky Harbor also dropping another degree down to 44 degrees. I do still think we'll cool a little bit further as we approach sunrise, which is right around 7:15 here this morning. Temperatures after that, though, will start to trend back up, and it's going to be a quicker warm up today. By lunchtime, we'll hit 60 degrees. By 2 o'clock, 64. That was yesterday's forecast high, and it's the high we reached yesterday. So today, add 4 degrees to that, 68 for a high this afternoon. We'll be down to 65 by 6 p.m., then back into the 50s by 8 o'clock. Here's what highs look like around the valley. Paradise Valley, 66 for you, 68 in Mesa, and 66 in Apache Junction. Then overnight tonight, I think we see some high clouds move in, so it's not going to be as cold tonight, as temperatures will only cool down into the low to mid 40s. Still sweater weather as you kick off your Friday, but again, don't worry, the afternoons are going to continue to get warmer. 68 for a high in Levine, 67 in Litchfield Park, and 66 in Surprise. Across the state, we'll hit 70 in Bullhead City and Lake Havasu, upper 40s in Heber and in Show Low, 58 today in Globe, and then tomorrow, Phoenix warms into the low 70s for Valentine's Day. Saturday, Sunday look great as well. Mostly sunny to partly cloudy, low to mid 70s, and President's Day still in the 70s, more clouds, but looking dry. I'm going to take you through that Valentine's Day hour by hour and President's Day hour by hour so you can start making your plans for all of that.
So much happening there, Iris. Thank you very much. It's 17 minutes past the hour. A convicted felon working at a Gilbert high school. The coach says one mistake, though, should not define him. His name is Chaz Scott. He's an assistant coach and security guard at Williamsfield High School. He was able to get a fingerprint clearance card, his probation officer even vouching for him. But Scott says for 7 years, he was denied jobs because of his felony conviction. He was actually charged with aggravated assault for tackling a man fighting his father. Parents at the school say a conviction is less important than character.
Sometimes people make mistakes, and as long as he's not a threat to a kid, then he should be able to work there.
And they've obviously served their time and been deemed not a threat to society, so.
Even the kids all know my situation, so I mentor them with it as well. Like, you can make one mistake, but you could always bounce back.
I mean, what a great lesson to teach. He says that he is hoping to eventually get that felony reduced to a misdemeanor.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it's a good message for all of us.
It sure is.
Yep. Only on ABC15 Mornings, an Arizona amputee pays hundreds of dollars for a special pair of shoes to help his balance. A year later, he still didn't have the shoes until we took action to get results. And he wants to make sure this morning that this doesn't happen to anyone else. Gilbert Trujillo has been on a mission to get his life back ever since his leg was amputated because of complications from type 2 diabetes.
I want to get my balance back to go back to work. Just to get out of the house and socialize like I used to.
He spends most days stuck here inside his house in Globe and was hopeful this man, Adam Ochoa, could solve his problems.
He seemed to be sincere and a very loving man.
But Gilbert says nothing was what it seemed. He claims Adam made a lot of promises that in the end he didn't keep.
I don't use an expletive, but he said that he can fix my leg. He's better than effing Jesus Christ.
Adam runs a Scottsdale-based company called Game Changer Feet, which gets a C+ from the Better Business Bureau. On his website, he plays the role of a hero, donating prosthetics and other equipment to amputees. So when Adam offered to create a special pair of shoes to improve Gilbert's balance,
I wrote him a check, and he goes, your shoes will be ready in a week.
After a year of waiting and ABC15 getting on the case, finally, a special delivery. Those shoes made it to Gilbert, but
these weren't what you paid for.
No. When he showed me the shoes when I ordered them, it didn't say Skechers or anything.
Gilbert says the shoes actually made his walking worse.
I felt slippery. No. It just felt unsafe.
Gilbert tells us he reached out to Adam, voicing his concerns, but says he never got a response. And what about that shipping label? Remember? It said, ungrateful man, above Gilbert's name.
It didn't really surprise me. He made me feel like I was doing something wrong by asking where's my merchandise.
Last year, Adam told us the money Gilbert paid was actually a donation because he had repaired Gilbert's prosthetic and even gave him an entirely new leg. Then he told us Gilbert's shoes were stuck in China, but we kept pushing until Gilbert got those shoes.
That's more than patience.
This story may not have the happy ending Gilbert wanted, but now he hopes as this chapter comes to a close, other people learn what he wished he would have known sooner.
Sometimes when you're disabled, you need to ask for help. This would be like a little trophy for me to remember in the future. Don't do this again. Put your guard back up. You have to.
All right, and here's another new development. After we reached out to Adam last week to ask him for another interview, Gilbert says he got a check in the mail refunding him for the costs of the shoes. He's going to cash that check later this week, so hopefully all things go okay. We'll update you if there's any issues. In the meantime, to get caught up on the rest of the stories that we've done on this case from last November, you can head to ABC15.com right now.
621, so many students, so few bus drivers. How teachers in one Valley School District are finding solutions to get your kids to and from school.
A change to the way FICO credit scores are calculated. Coming up, Joe lets you know what it means for your chances of getting approved for financing.
Hey, as we talk about that 7-day forecast, know that temperatures are going to keep trending up over the next few days. Today, 4 degrees warmer than it was yesterday. Expect clear skies and that temperature to climb quicker, too. We'll likely be back into the 60s by lunchtime, then upper 60s by 4 o'clock, and still in the 60s even through 7 o'clock here this evening. Tomorrow for Valentine's Day, looking fantastic. A few passing clouds, but warmer with a high of 71 degrees. And if you've got plans tomorrow, maybe you've got some dinner plans, by the evening, it'll start to get a little cool, so maybe take a sweater with you as you're heading out to dinner. And if you sit outside on the patio, it might be a little more comfortable under the heaters. Know that after sunset, that temperature will be back down into the low to mid 60s by 7 to 8 o'clock and still right around 60 degrees by 9 p.m., cooling into the 50s after that. The weekend looks mostly sunny to partly cloudy but dry. By Sunday, 74. And hey, if you've got plans on President's Day, I do think we're going to see more clouds that day, but no rain for the valley. Instead, temperatures will start off in the 40s to 50s by 8 a.m., upper 60s by noon, and then we'll see that high of 72 degrees on President's Day. Still in the 70s through the middle of next week, and for now, that valley 7-day forecast looks dry.
Iris, thanks. A 93-year-old getting a very special day to remember thanks to a group of high schoolers from Mesa. The Dreamcatchers Club from Mountain View treated Hilda to afternoon tea at the Phoenician. Hilda says she's a big fan of the Queen of England and the idea of a tea party, so the students brought it all to life.
She's super excited and she has this beautiful smile on her face, and talking to her you can just see her just light up.
The Dreamcatchers Foundation works with high school and college students to grant final dreams of hospice patients.
What a great story there. All right, happening today, just in time for Valentine's Day, Bachelor live on stage, a show co-hosted by Becca Cuffrin and Ben Higgins, and fits an entire season of The Bachelor into one evening. Members of the audience are going to have the chance to find love, compete with rose ceremonies. It is happening tonight at Mesa Arts Center at 7:30.